Hello and welcome. Happy full moon in Capricorn. If you are new, welcome to my little corner of the internet where I like to channel moon energy and do collective readings and give you a little bit about what is going on in the cosmos around you, the energy you might be picking up on, and how you can apply it to your life. So, this particular moon is going to be on Monday and it is peaking at 7:56 Eastern. And it is a very interesting energy. So collectively, we're sitting, the sun is in Cancer, as a Cancer sun. I love this energy. It is just like a very soft, nurturing energy. In astrology, we talk about sister signs. And so the polar opposite on the wheel of like of all the birth charts of the astrological wheel, there's opposites, and we call those sister signs. The opposite of Cancer is Capricorn, and so archetypally we can talk about these as like if Cancer is the mother of the zodiac, Capricorn is like the father of the zodiac, as nurturing and emotional and soft and watery and intuitive as Cancer is. Capricorn is not. But Capricorn is sustainable. It's hardworking. It's grounded. So it's just that duality. Neither is better than the other or more desirable than the other. They're just what the other is not. Okay. So this moon is taking place in Capricorn. And so again, it's going to be on Monday. And overall, the overall theme that I'm picking up on here is reality is meeting with possibility. There's a lot of movement happening astrologically. It's been quite quiet for the last few months, really. We are going into a window now where it's going to be building in intensity until I believe it's July 4th. There's like a Mars-Uranus conjunction, which I will get into. But and after that, all of the astrology is going to be completely different. So building up to that, we're really starting to feel all of this change. Things are shifting. This particular moon is going to be asking you, what are you actually building? Okay. It's like not what's exciting you up right now, not what's giving you the dopamine hit, not what's going to give you a lot of followers on, TikTok. What is sustainable right now? So that is like the big energy here. It's also a really good opportunity. We're about halfway through the year. Take an honest look at what you've been building over the last 6 months in your life, your home, that's very Cancerian, your career, which is very Capricorn, and ask if does it align with where you're headed. Okay, everything that if you think back to the new year and all your new year intentions, how are you doing? This is your mid-year checkpoint. Capricorn is very much that sort of energy of like, okay, let's see the reports. How are we doing here? Is this sustainable? So this is very much a polarity that we're happening here. Cancer is very focused on like what helps you feel safe, supported, nourished, held. And Capricorn is like, what are you committed to? What are you building? Okay. So you're going to feel this like push and pull between like home and career, rest and productivity, feeling and actually doing, emotional security and external success. And those are the themes that are coming up here and asking you to take a look at both. Are you leaning a little too much into your feels and less into the doing? Or is it the opposite, where you're leaning way too much into doing so that you're numbing and not feeling? Okay, it can go both ways. Again, as a Cancer sun, I tend to err more on the other side, but it can be very much the other way. Are you being overly productive and not taking time to rest? Are you too focused on your career and not focused on your home life? Okay. Success that costs your nervous system is no longer going to feel like success. So if you are overdoing it in any area and you feel, maybe you're, like a bit of a workaholic and like super focused on your career and you feel incredibly successful. However, the cost of that is your nervous system is screaming and, perhaps you're dealing with some health issues. That is no longer going to feel successful to you at the cost of your nervous system no longer feeling supported. So we have some background players happening here with this transit. One of the big ones is Saturn in Aries. And Saturn has recently entered Aries, brand new 29-year cycle. It's going to be here for a while. But because Saturn rules Capricorn, this full moon is going to be kind of, with that energy behind it. So Saturn is like Big Daddy Saturn coming to just remind us of, where do we need a bit of a reality check? Okay. Because it's in Aries, there are themes here around like leadership, courage, taking responsibility. Okay. So some questions that might be coming up for you could be, where are you avoiding responsibility? Where are you carrying responsibility that isn't yours? What deserves your long-term commitment? And what structures in your life are actually supporting your future? So the universe isn't asking you to do more here. This isn't like, hey, you're avoiding responsibility. I'm going to need you to like take on more and get it done. It's asking you to build more intentionally. Take a look at all of the things that you have in your world. What are you responsible for? What are you kind of avoiding responsibility for? And what is sustainable? And what is going to support the future that you want to build? And that is what deserves your commitment, your devotion to. Another honorable mention to Neptune and Aries. So like Neptune and Saturn are kind of hanging out in Aries together. Neptune can make things a little bit harder to see, right? There's not a lot of clarity when Neptune's involved. So we're going to be sort of having this bridge happening between dreams and discipline, vision and reality, inspiration and action. Okay. So when we have those two together in the same sign, it can be challenging because, you're trying to learn, how do you bridge dreaming the dream, right? Neptune is very like Pisces, like we're dreaming, we're, trying to like think of the life we want to live. And then Saturn is coming in and being like, hey, get to work. Let's go. Let's build it. Can you take that vision you imagine for your life and ground it into reality and make it happen? And that's the balance that's happening between the two. Because you can go too far the other way as well. You have too much discipline. You don't have time to dream. Dreams are so important. This particular full moon, there's a challenging aspect happening to Neptune. So there is an invitation here to work on discerning what is inspiring and what is actually sustainable. So as we're dreaming the dreams, what is going to be sustainable? What is something you're actually going to be able to bring into your reality? So, as you're sort of working through a lot of these energies that are coming up, it's about remembering it's not about pretending everything's going to work out. We need a healthy dose of like Delulu when we're trying to like, ground things into reality. If anyone's ever, done something that like being an entrepreneur, like you need to know in your heart of hearts, in your core that like, this is something that is going to work. This is something that needs to happen. And like, you got this. So that's important. However, it's not just about going in blindly and, there's a bit of bypassing that can happen there. And this can be a little bit of like Neptune, where we're just like refusing to see reality. And it's like, oh, no, like everything's going to be fine. It's going to be great. Like, don't even worry about it. But because you're not seeing reality. It's about having faith to continually build something, even though you can't see the finished picture. Okay. Like showing up in reality and, building something that's sustainable, even though you don't necessarily know where it's going yet. That part's okay. But it's taking, aligned action to make something happen in your world. So the pop astrologers are all over this for sure. Mercury goes retrograde. It's going retrograde the same day as the full moon, which is very interesting. So Mercury is going retrograde into Cancer. So we've got the sun in Cancer. Mercury is going to be retrograding into Cancer all on Monday. It should be really fun. Mercury retrogrades get a bit of a bad reputation. Mercury governs communication and technology. So anything to do with communication and technology, when something goes retrograde, it slows down. And so, it's not necessarily about moving backwards, but it can feel slow. It is an invitation for us to slow down and look at things. So some themes that might be coming up for you would be very like Cancerian things. So like revisiting old conversations, family patterns, emotional healing. It's a beautiful opportunity for reflection, to look back at the past and, see it from a different lens, look at it with, like new opportunities for healing or lessons. In every Mercury retrograde, double check everything. Revisit your plans before you move forward. If you can avoid it, don't sign contracts. And it doesn't mean anything bad's going to happen. It just means that there's usually like delays if you're traveling, or, it might be like something unexpected comes up from signing the contract, or it's not quite what you expected, or things like that. So it's just about, again, it's not about moving backwards. It's about slowing down to integrate those lessons that you've already learned. It's, the whole energy around a Mercury retrograde can feel delayed, but really it's just giving us an opportunity to see something more clearly. So I'm just going to check my calendar. The day before the moon, the full moon, Mars is going to enter Gemini on Sunday. So this is really interesting because Mars has been in Taurus, which is like slow and steady, earth sign, very grounded. And then we're moving into Gemini, which is very quick moving, very intellectual, curious, mental stimulation, air sign. So we're going to feel this. Mars is the planet of like drive, ambition. So we're going to feel this shift from like slow and steady progress to like, let's look at all of the options, every single possibility. Mars in Gemini is like curious, mental stimulation, amazing conversations, networking, brainstorming, learning, lots of ideas. And it's very restless energy. If anyone saw my reading, the last reading I did was very Gemini energy. The shadow side of Gemini can be very scattered. It can be speaking before thinking, starting way too many things and not planning on finishing them, or analysis paralysis can also happen. So, with this energy kind of like simmering in the background here, it's important to remember that like curiosity is beautiful. We love curiosity. We love lots of ideas and all of the options, but don't let the endless exploration of all of the things keep you from choosing a direction. Kind of getting this image of like spinning around in a circle at the crossroads, and you're like, this could be a path, or what if we went down here, or look at this, or like, oh, a leaf. It's like ADHD brain, right? Like and it is a beautiful energy. However, you can get trapped in like, oh, like, what if I just look at this one more way? Or I think about it from this perspective, or like, what if I tried this instead? And it can stop us from moving forward. So keep that in the back of your mind during all of these transits that are happening. So the other thing that is happening, this is going to be in, I believe it's July 4th. or around there. I did not look up the exact date. Mars is going to conjunct Uranus in Gemini. Okay, this is going to be a very like electric energy. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because we can already feel it now. We can already feel it building. And because this is happening so close to the full moon, it's going to be really important. So Mars is all, again, action. Okay. And Uranus is awakening, innovation, disruption. It's like a planet of like shock often. So when these two are joining, we're going to feel potentially like sudden insights, unexpected news, breakthrough ideas, new perspectives, like just like a mental awakening. We love this. Caution, there's a shadow. Of course, there's light and shadow to everything. Be careful not to be too impulsive with your decision making, reacting too quickly, feeling really overstimulated or overwhelmed, or feeling that pressure that you need to act immediately. Okay. There is, again, like it's that Gemini energy of like, there can be like too much, there's too much happening. And so just if, you know, if you're feeling sort of like this scattered energy coming up to this transit, just remember like not every breakthrough or sudden inspiration or clarity requires immediate action. Sometimes the breakthrough is just seeing things differently, seeing it from a different perspective. That's the clarity. And you can sit with that and let that integrate and see what comes next. Just stay curious. Stay curious to what's coming next. You don't necessarily need to get that bolt of lightning awakening and then immediately take action forward. Okay. So the last transit here, I said there was a lot going on. There is. The last one that's happening is Jupiter is entering Leo. Okay. So this is once a year, Jupiter kind of shifts. So Jupiter is moving from Cancer to Leo. So we're moving from the energy of like home, belonging, emotional nourishment of Cancer towards Leo. And that's going to be like creativity, confidence, visibility, authentic self-expression. Who are you? So it can feel like you've spent the last year really strengthening your emotional foundation. There may have been a lot of things coming up for you around home, belonging, emotional nourishment, those sorts of energies. And now you're being invited to really shine from that foundation. Jupiter is the planet of expansion. So it's going to expand anything in those areas. And I think this is just a really beautiful energy for us to collectively be moving into. Like, especially when we kind of shine it back through the lens of this full moon being in Capricorn. And Capricorn's asking, like, what's sustainable? What are you building? Right. And Jupiter in Leo is going to ask you, what are you building? And from there, it's like, what lights you up? Like, can you build a strong enough foundation to hold you so that you feel comfortable enough to shine your light? And what lights you up? And then that Gemini energy gets sprinkled in there. And it's like, ooh, let's get curious. What lights you up? So it's a really beautiful transit altogether. So overall, we're, you know, I just really want to reiterate this energy that I'm feeling is about asking yourself, like, where are you over functioning? What are you building? What are you ready to release? You know, full moons are all about illumination. They kind of shine a light on what is going on, what you're focusing on, and it gives you an opportunity to release it. Okay. Collectively, it's about building slower, okay, but stronger. We're just going to slow down and build something sustainable. And it's about remembering too, like success doesn't require self-abandonment. Okay. You don't need to, you know, let go of everything in your life to be successful. It's about building a life that helps to support that success. Yeah. So overall, I think it feels really, really good. It's really just about checking yourself. It's not about doing more. It's about discerning what is worth your commitment. Okay. You don't need to build everything, You just have to build what matters. That's the take home here. So I'm going to pull some cards. I have my deck here, the Crossroads Oracle. And we'll pull some cards and see what wants to come through here. Do a little shuffle. This is my favorite part. I love talking about the astrology. I will nerd out on astrology. I love listening to the astrology podcast. If anyone loves to do deep dives on astrology, highly recommended. But I will say the card pulling is my most favorite part. The astrology, I feel like, gives us a really good like context, like background of like the energy that's happening. And then the cards are just fun. Here we go. Oh my gosh, of course, of course. Okay. So we actually got two out together. So let's just read these together here. So the mountain. Okay. So I can like never get it in the frame. There you go. So the mountain is like, it's a realm card. And just looking at this, like right away, I'm like, what are you building? What are you building? Like this is very Capricorn energy to me of like, what are you building? What's sustainable? Right. This is also a card of like higher purpose, mastery, right? Like, what are you being called to do? Like, I just can't help but think about people that, climb Mount Everest and they, they're like, oh, it's like a calling. You just feel called to do it. And it's so interesting to me because it's like, what mountain is calling you? Right? Like what mountain is calling you to scale it, to climb it? And it's like, it's aligning with that purpose. This card too is about clarity. So like you're ascending into clarity. You're kind of, as you climb the mountain, you're able to really see where you've been, where you're going. You get like a higher perspective. And, I think that some of the transits I was mentioning with like Uranus, and that like insight, like that clarity coming through is really coming through in this card too. So again, very much about like sustainability. What are you building? What are you focusing on? Like, what's your Everest? What's calling you? What is worth your energy? Is whatever you're focusing on, is this worth you climbing? Is this worth your energy that you're putting into it? And then when you get there and you kind of like ascend the mountain is the energy here, you'll see again, where you've been, where you're going, see things from a different perspective that maybe you hadn't considered before. This is like very Mercury retrograde energy. It's fascinating. It always comes through in the cards. I love it so much. Which actually brings me like very nicely. This one hopped out at the same time. The Torchbearer. So this is one of the guide cards. And yeah, the Torchbearer is like shine your light. I'm just going to put it here. Torchbearers is shine your light. And it's like, if you look at the card, I'll post them in the Substack here. If you look at the card, it's like the Torchbearer, like they are the light. And if you look down the corridor, there's no other lights. They are the only light. And it's about, stepping forward in your light that you are able to like illuminate the path. And what I find so beautiful about this is like, it's courage, it's determination. But this feels very like Jupiter and Leo coded for me. I'll like honorable mention to Aries there too, but this is very like shine your light, right? Like find that corridor that's like, that needs your light. And it's about finding that, like tending to that flame within, like what lights you up, what, gives you that spark. I've had mentors sort of mention before, it's like, if you had to ramble about something for like an hour, what would it be? What could you ramble about forever? What's the one thing that like when you get going, it's like, oh, here we go. Like what gets you so excited? What's that inner fire in you? And again, this is a card for me of just like remembering who you are, like coming back to self and having that determination to step forward into a path of uncertainty and just know that like this is that calling for you. It's like when I was mentioning earlier, that like faith, right? Like having faith isn't just like blind faith that it's going to work out, but it's holding yourself to like hold the vision, trust the process, but also ensure that you're making the process happen, right? We don't want to get into that bypassing of like, oh, it'll be fine, everything will work out. Because we don't, you need to take aligned action as well. And this card is very much a card of aligned action. This is the second card in the entire deck. And the card that comes before this is like the Wayfinder. So it's about like that pull, like that knowingness that you're being called somewhere. This card is about taking the step, right? Of being like, okay, I've heard the call. I'm going to go. I'm going to take that step and go forward on the journey. Aligned action. I'm making it happen. Okay. All right, let's pull another one here. Honorable mention to the bridge on the bottom here, because I was talking about we're having to bridge a lot of things right now. So let's see. What else wants to come out? So what I always find so interesting about, when we have these like polarities on these axes of like Cancer and Capricorn, because they are opposites, and you can feel that pull between, there's shadow on both. You can lose yourself in your emotions. You can, just be too deep in your feeling and not be, working to make anything happen in your life. We all know people like that. They get lost in, like victim consciousness, like victim mindset, and just are so stuck in their feels, and they're not doing anything to change their reality. But the opposite of that is true too, where people who are, like again, like workaholics are like so focused on doing that they're not feeling. It's about finding that balance, the bridge between the two. Okay. We got the River. This is like such a beautiful card. I think I say that for all of them. I'm a little biased. It's like asking a mother to pick a favorite child. I have some cards that I'm like more drawn to than others, but I love all of them. They're just like, they all have such just a richness that I love. So, okay, we got another Realms card, which is very interesting. The Realms are kind of like reflecting your state of like where you are right now. So I think that's very interesting. It's, the Realms are just about like, it's like your state of being. The Torchbearer is a guide card. And so that's very much about, like giving you like an archetype to embody. But I do think it's interesting. We got another Realms card here. So, okay. So the River is about, it's like, it's emotion, but it's also like bringing life back. So this card actually comes right after the Wasteland card. And the River is like, so if you picture a wasteland, like a desert, there's no life, like there's no water, and we need water for life. And so this card comes next where it's like the life comes back. And the River is motion. Okay. And it is about like carrying away like anything that is no longer aligned for us, but also like bringing back, just life. And it's about like letting those emotions flow through you, releasing, which is like very full moon coded. It's all about releasing and letting go, and just like allowing anything that is no longer serving you to go. And what's really interesting in this card is like, it's actually like a building off to the side that I'm really being drawn to speak about. And that makes me very much want to talk about like, build yourself a life that supports you, that supports where you're going, that supports everything. Like build yourself a life that allows you to have emotion, to be all of the like facets of who you are. If you've built yourself a life that doesn't let you be emotional or messy or have bad days, and you always need to be like on and fully put together, like that's not a sustainable life. That is not a life that's going to support you through all of like the like the ebbs and flows of life. Like we have times where you're like riding the wave and life is good, and sometimes you get sucked back out into the tide, and and you crash, like it can be, there's always ups and downs. And so you need to build yourself a life that supports you through that. That allows, like, I'm just getting this image of like the river. It's like a tide. Like sometimes it's like a gentle bubbling creek, and other times it's like white rapids. And you need to build yourself a foundation that's going to be able to like sustain that, to withhold those changing currents, because that's life, right? And if there's areas in your life where you don't feel, you're like, oh, if that river comes up any higher, like that foundation is crumbling. If anything happens in your life that is not like perfect, that relationship's going to crumble, or like I'll get fired from work or whatever. Like I have no ability to have any kind of flow, then that's not sustainable. And interestingly, that is very much the energy that I'm getting for this moon, which is like, even though it's a Capricorn full moon, which is not very emotional, it's about finding that balance between, that Cancer energy we're sitting in right now, too, of like, can you build something that is going to, kind of like hold the container and allow you to, allow like the storms to rage and allow it to be sunny. And you can build the most beautiful house, but if the second it rains the house dissolves, like that's not sustainable, right? That's not going to be something that's going to be able to last. So that's definitely coming through very strong with that card. Okay, let's do one more. I feel like doing even numbers tonight. Pull four cards. Oh dear, we have a jumper, pardon me. Oh, of course. Of course. Okay. So let me just like make sure my camera here. Okay. So we have the Crossroads card. Crossroads Oracle. So we're not surprised. Okay, let's like feel into the energy of this card, because I feel like it's different than how I think it is. Yeah. So Crossroads are it's also a realm card. That's fascinating. So we got 3 realm cards. Just like honorable mention there. So these cards are like, again, there's 4 suits, right? And so the messengers card are like, they're bringing you messages of like almost like initiations, like things for you to like do, like move, right? We have the guides, which I mentioned are more like archetypal in nature. We have the realms, and we also have the keys, and the keys are like tools. So it's like, hey, like take this thing and like go change your life. We're not getting that energy here. There's no keys happening. There's no messages coming through in the like the messenger suits. These are realms, and realms are just like reflections of like, hey, here's where you're at. Just like mull this over. So the Crossroads card is very interesting here. And I can't help but want to speak to that energy that I was mentioning before of like all of these possibilities, right? There's like so many possibilities coming forward, especially, with all of these like transits kind of moving into Gemini. We've got a Mercury retrograde happening that's going to like bring us some opportunity to really like slow down and not make big choices right now. Wait till the Mercury retrograde's over and then go change your life. just it's an opportunity to kind of slow down a little bit. What is also really interesting about this card though is like at the bottom it says initiation, and I love that, because it's, we get, especially like over the last, well, really like the last 6 months at least, like since the start of the year, like it's the year of the horse, right? And we've kind of been promised this energy of like forward movement and change, and it's coming. Like, fear not, it's coming. But this is kind of the energy with this card. It's like, hey, okay, like you've been wanting clarity, you've been wanting change and choice and forward movement. It's here. What are you going to do? Where are you going to go now? And so, not that you need to make a decision yet. Don't worry. You don't need to like change your life overnight, but it is this energy of like, it's here. It's here. And on the other side of all of this astrology that's happening, I very much feel like by the end of the summer, for a lot of people, like your life is going to look very different. Should you want it to? Should you want to make these aligned choices? The Crossroads card, it's an opportunity, it truly is about choice. You can keep going on the same path. You can turn around and go backwards if you want to, or you can change, or you can pivot, right? And we do have this like sprinkling of Gemini energy, right? And so there is that curiosity, options, look at all of the possibilities. And as you're kind of looking at those major themes of sustainability, purpose, like your calling, which is all very like Capricorn coded, and also honoring like your emotions and where you feel yourself being headed. As I very much feel Crossroads card is like, it's very faded. It's like as you're embodying all this energy and like pulling on all of these threads and allowing yourself to like dream a little bit and think about the things and allow yourself to be pulled in a certain direction, the crossroads comes to you. I really get this image of like the crossroads doesn't appear to just anyone. Oftentimes crossroads can feel very intimidating for people. It's a liminal space. It's, everyone is often like, what if I make the wrong decision? What if I choose the wrong path? There is no wrong path. There is no wrong decision. So fear not. But, I just sort of feel like this card is coming forward as a reminder of like, not everyone gets a crossroads. Not everyone awakens to a point where they can see the crossroads, right? Like if you have blinders on and you're just kind of like walking through life and not, your awareness is just on the path in front of you, you're not going to see the crossroads. You're not going to see the opportunities that are available to you, the forks in the road. You're just focused on where you're going. And I feel like that's very much the shadow of Capricorn, which is what this full moon is. So the crossroads is very much a gift. If you have the awareness to recognize you are at a crossroads and you have the freedom to choose, you have the freedom to choose what direction you want to take next. What a blessing, truly. What a gift to be able to potentially change the trajectory of your life. And it takes a higher level of awareness to recognize when you are at this point, like when you are at a crossroads. So as this card comes up, like, what is your relationship with that? As I say, like, ooh, crossroads. Do you contract? Is there fear? Are you excited? Are you curious? Right? Are you resistant? Explore it. Explore your relationship to change. Explore anything that comes up for you. And if you feel excited and if you feel that like even curiosity, are there certain areas of your life where you're feeling that boredom or that stagnation where you would love to just maybe a little change there would be good? Follow that. I'm almost seeing like it's like bubbles, which is very like Gemini childlike energy. But it's like just follow it, see where it goes. Maybe it will lead you somewhere better than you ever could have imagined. Okay. Beautiful energy coming through tonight. Oh my goodness. This is just a very powerful opportunity that's coming forward for us to be able to, have this ability to like build something sustainable, create the life that you want to live, and that's going to support you in doing so, right? Like create the life that is going to allow you to live the life you want to live. That was a lot of like repetition, but hopefully it makes sense for sure. Anyways, I hope you are all having a wonderful evening. I hope that this full moon is treating you well. And let me know how this resonated and what comes up for you. I'd love to know. And yeah, I look forward to chatting with you on the new moon, which will be in about 2 weeks. Bye for now.